Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video I am going to be showing you the chevron stitch. I had someone, I think it was on Facebook, that requested this stitch, and so I said okay, sure, I will make a tutorial showing you how to use the chevron stitch. The good thing is that it can be used to make scarves, and it's a pretty easy stitch, and you're able to go on autopilot, which is always nice for a crocheter, as I'm sure many of you agree. My first recollection of the stitch is when I was a kid and I would go over to my aunt's house. She would have all these afghans made in the chevron stitch. So yeah, let me show you guys this awesome stitch. Things you will need, of course, as I said in previous videos, you're always going to need a pair of scissors to cut your yarn at the end, and then you're going to need a darning, weaving, tapestry needle to weave in the tail at the beginning and at the end of your project after you fasten off. I love this yarn. I could not find it online, so I don't have a link for you, but I got it from Hobby Lobby. This is Nova Scotian Sky. It calls for a 5mm crochet hook, although I'm going to be using a size 7 because I'm pretty tight, my tension. And yeah, it's lot number 632741. Okay, the name is 874 Nova Scotian Sky, art number 100, and HL number 1682939. Let me zoom in. So if you want to find this exact color, just write down that information. Okay? Alright, let's get started. So we're going to start out with a slip knot. Insert your hook. Remember, it's size 5.5mm that the yarn calls for, and that is US, but I'm using a size 7. And so the multiples are 10 plus 1 and then plus 3 for the foundation chain. Okay, so I'm going to do 20, which is a multiple of 10. 10 times 2 is 20. Okay, so I'm going to chain out 20 stitches first. 1, 3, 2, 3, 4. I don't know where that 3 came from. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, notice I made my chains nice and loose. Okay, so that's 20. So that's the multiple. You've taken care of that. And now you're going to add 1. So that's the plus 1. Hold your thumb on that chain because that's the chain that we're going to put our first stitch in. And now 3 more chains for the foundation chain. So 1, 2, 3. Okay? That will count as 1 DC, or 1 double crochet. So now where our thumb is, which is technically the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, and right there where my thumb is, 4th chain, we're going to put 1 DC in there. So just enter the chain and put your double crochet. Alright, now we're going to put 1 double crochet in the next 3 chains. So yarn over, enter the chain, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2. Repeat that for the next 2 chains. And here's the 3rd one. Putting 1 double crochet. Okay. Alright. Now we are going to do a double crochet 3 together. So for those of you who don't know what that is, basically that's when you crochet 3 stitches, 3 double crochets together, and we're going to use the next 3 chains to do that. So we'll use that chain, and that chain. So yarn over, enter the next chain, 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2. Now we're not going to complete this right now. We're going to yarn over, go into the next chain, yarn over, pull through to the front. Now we have 4 loops, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Now we're not going to complete that because we have 1 more chain to work with. Yarn over, enter the next stitch, the next chain, yarn over, pull through to the front. Now we have 5 loops, and we're going to yarn over and go through 2, like that. Now we're left with 4 loops on our crochet hook. We have these 3 partially crocheted double crochets, so now we'll yarn over and go through all 4 loops. Okay, and now we just did a double crochet or DC 3 together. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Alright, and now we're going to do kind of like the opposite of this DC 3 together. We're going to put 3 double crochets into this next chain, into that one chain. We're going to put 3 double crochets. So that's 1. I will re-enter that chain for a second double crochet. That's 2. I'm going to re-enter that chain for a third double crochet, and that is 3. Okay, so you see that when we did the double crochet 3 together, it kind of caused a little dip, and now you're already starting to see that when we put 3 double crochets, kind of like the opposite of this, in one chain it kind of made a ridge. Okay, that is the hallmark of the chevron pattern. Anytime you do a DC 3 together or 3 double crochet in 1 stitch, you usually follow it up by 1 double crochet in the next 3 chains. Okay, so 1, next chain, 2, next chain, 3. Okay, and now it's time to go back to the double crochet 3 together, okay, for the next 3 stitches. So we did DC 3 together there, and then 1 double crochet in 3 stitches, 3 double crochet in 1 stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So it's now time to go back to the DC 3 together. So over these next 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, we're going to put a DC 3 together. So like that. Okay, it's not finished, but we yarn over and go into the next chain anyway. Yarn over, go through 2. It's not finished, but we yarn over and go into the next chain, the third and final chain. Yarn over, pull through to the front. Yarn over, go through 2. Okay, now with the 4 loops, we yarn over and go through all 4. Okay, at this point you should have 4 chains left. Okay, so we're going to put the 1 double crochet into the next 3 chains, 2 and 3, and now we have that 1 chain that's finally left, and at the end, instead of doing 3 double crochet in that 1 chain, we're just going to do 2 double crochet in that 1 chain. Okay, so 1, and then back into that final chain for a second double crochet, 2. Okay, now when we initially chained out those 24 chains, you probably thought, wow, that's going to be a wide scarf, right? But because of this sort of dipping and, you know, the ridges, it kind of made it narrower. Okay, so initially it may seem too wide or wider than what you want, but when it kind of bunches up, right? It kind of all balances out. So if you're going to make an afghan, something that's really wide, be sure to take that into consideration, because it won't just be a straight line of chains. Okay, those decreases in there cause it to bunch up. All right, moving on to row 2. We're going to chain 3 now. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to turn our work, and we're going to put a double crochet into this very first stitch right there, the same stitch that chain 3 is coming up out of. We're going to go in there, slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet into the next 3 stitches. So basically we're doing exactly what we did at the end of the previous round, okay, except we're going in the other direction now. And at this point, I don't know if you guys can see, but right here we did a DC3 together, right? That's what that is. Those 1, 2, 3 stitches going and becoming that one, as is evidenced by that one top there. So what you're always going to do for the DC3 together in the row above is you're going to use the stitch before that DC3 together and then the stitch after. So we have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Looking at the top, 1, 2, 3. So here we go. For this DC3 together, yarn over, into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2. It's incomplete as it should be, but yarn over, enter the next stitch, which is that DC3 together, yarn over, pull through to the front, we have 4 loops, yarn over, go through the first 2. That's incomplete. Who cares? We're going to continue going. Yarn over, enter the next stitch. Okay? Yarn over, pull through to the front. Now we have 5 loops. Yarn over, only go through the first 2. And then yarn over and go through all 4 loops. Okay? And so we've created that next DC3 together there. And that's going to keep that dip going as this gets longer. So remember, I told you after you do the DC3 together or the 3 double crochets in 1 stitch, we always follow that up with 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. Okay, so that's 1, next stitch, that's 2, next stitch, that's 3. Since we just did a DC3 together, we know that it's time to alternate and do a 3 double crochet in 1 stitch. Now let me show you again. This was the 3 double crochet in 1 stitch right here. There's the 1 stitch, and then there are the 3 double crochets. Your 3, or should I say, the stitch that will get the 3 double crochets in the current row is always that middle stitch. So this is the end, that's the middle, and that's the other end. We've already utilized this first end, and now it's time to put our 3 double crochets in the next stitch, which is that middle stitch there. Okay, so that's just a little trick to make sure that you're putting 3 double crochets in the right stitch. It's always in the center stitch of that 3 double crochets in 1 stitch grouping. Okay, so now we've done that. And remember, you always follow it up by 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So here's the next stitch. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now it's time to do the DC3 together again. Now remember, here's the DC3 together in the previous round, and we always use the stitch on either side, so that one and that one, and these are technically the 3 stitches. That's the first, that's the second, and that's the third. So watch this. Yarn over, enter the next stitch, which is there. Okay, it's incomplete, who cares? Yarn over, enter the next stitch, which is that DC3 together. Yarn over, go through the first 2 only. Okay, now we have 3 loops. It's incomplete, who cares? Yarn over, enter the stitch on the other side of it. Yarn over, pull through to the front, only go through the first 2 loops. Okay, and as always, you should end up with 4 loops, in which case you yarn over and go through all 4. Now we're going to put 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and you're always going to be left with this chain 3 on the end. For symmetry purposes, you're going to just put 2 double crochets in it. So find the top chain, enter it, put 1 double crochet, yarn over, re-enter that same chain, and put your 2nd double crochet. You guys know that I am a symmetry freak, so we started with the chain 3 and that double crochet went in that first same stitch, right? So it's like 2 stitches in that 1 stitch. We ended the same way, 2 stitches in that 1 stitch. And so now, guys, all you do is just repeat this from here on out. So I'll do 1 more row. chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work. Double crochet goes into that same stitch that the chain 3 is coming out of, so that very first stitch. Alright, now we put 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Alright, now it's time to do the DC3 together. You can always tell because you can see these 3 stitches are coming into one. Okay, and then also the DC3 together is the dip side. Okay, so yarn over, enter the stitch, yarn over, go through 2 incomplete, yarn over, enter the next stitch, yarn over, go through 2 incomplete, yarn over, enter the 3rd stitch, yarn over, pull through the front, yarn over, go through 2 incomplete, 4 loops, yarn over, go through all 4, and now it's complete. Follow that up with 1 DC in the next 3 stitches. So 1, and don't forget guys, you guys can always slow the video down if I'm moving too fast. 2 and 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Now we're at the top and we're at that center stitch as we should be, and it's time to put 3 double crochets into it. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was easy. Now we follow that up with 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. That's 1, next stitch. That's 2, next stitch. That's 3. Now it's time to DC3 together again. So yarn over, enter the next stitch. 1, yarn over, enter the next stitch. 2, yarn over, and the 3rd and final stitch. Yarn over, go through 2, 3. We're left with 4 loops. Yarn over, go through all 4 loops. Now we follow that up with 1 DC in the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Remember to not forget about that chain 3 on the end, and because it's the end, we're going to put 2 stitches in it, 2 double crochets in the top chain of that chain 3. For symmetry's sake, we started with 2 stitches over here with the chain 3, and then we put a double crochet in that first stitch. So we need 2 stitches over here. Just re-enter that top chain and put your second double crochet. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn your work. And put your first double crochet into that very first stitch. Okay? And you'll just continue like that. Okay, so I am going to work on this for a little bit, and then I'll check back and show you how to finish this off. If you want to make a super long scarf, you might need 2 of these skeins. I'm not quite sure at the moment. I'll have a better idea at the end of the video though. Okay, I will see you there. Alright, so this is what I have so far. I'm going to do one more row just because I'm working in a lighter area, so hopefully for those of you who may have struggled to see before, you can clearly see now. Alright, so chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Turn your work. Put 1 double crochet in that very first stitch there. Slice the icing off the top of the cake and make your double crochet. Now we're going to follow that up with 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. 2, next stitch, 3. Now I see that this is a dip, so this is when I know to double crochet 3 together. So yarn over, enter the first stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, enter the next stitch. This is that previous DC3 together, and there's the top right there. Okay, it's kind of spaced out, so slice the loose icing off of the top of that cake. Yarn over, pull through to the front, 4 loops, yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Now we have 3 loops. Yarn over, slice the icing off the top of the 3rd cake, yarn over, pull through to the front. We have 5 loops, yarn over, go through the first 2, and now we have 4 loops, yarn over, go through all 4. That's our DC 3 together. Now we follow that up with 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. That's 2, and this is 3. Now we're at the peak, so we know that we have to put 3 double crochet into that next stitch. 1, 2, 3, and remember, we follow that up with 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, next stitch, 2, next stitch, 3. Alright, now we're at a dip again. Yarn over into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go into the DC3 together with the previous row, yarn over, pull through the front, 4 loops, yarn over, go through 2. 3 loops left. Yarn over into the third stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front. We have 5 loops on our crochet hook, yarn over, go through 2. Now we have 4 loops, yarn over, go through all 4. 1 DC in the next 3 stitches. That's 1, next stitch, that's 2, next stitch, that's 3. And as always, in this final stitch, that chain 3, we yarn over, insert our hook into the top of the top chain of that chain 3, yarn over, pull through to the front, make a double crochet, and we put another double crochet into that same top chain of that chain 3. Okay, and that is how you do the chevron stitch. Okay, now in terms of the length, this, because I'm using 7mm and because I decided to make it this wide, it's not as long as a lot of my other scarves. Okay, this I would say is about this I would say is about the length of a men's short scarf. So let me get my tape measure out right quick so I can measure this for you. So there. Alright, so that's about 23.5 inches. Okay, so I would say that's about 47 inches total because this is folded in half. Okay, so this is 47 inches. For those of you who are working with centimeters, using the metric system, let's see. That's about 61 centimeters. Okay, 61 centimeters, so 122 centimeters. Okay, so that's how long this one skein makes using a size 7mm crochet hook. Remember, the yarn calls for 5mm US, but I use 7mm US. So if you want yours to be longer than this, then feel free to use a second skein. This is long enough for me. All of my scarves don't need to be super long and don't need to drape down the entire length of my body. So I'm going to finish this off. So all I'm going to do is reinsert my crochet hook, zoom in so you can see. Alright, yarn over, chain 1, cut my yarn, fasten off like that, and then I'm going to grab my darning, weaving, tapestry needle, yarn my needle, and then just work through some stitches, going first in one direction, alright, and then going back in the other direction. Alright, and remember, don't go in where you came out or it can come undone. Go past that. Just try to go in slightly different areas of the stitches. And you guys know I like to come out the side of the work for whatever reason. I don't know, there's just something very gratifying about that for me. Cut that down. Make sure you don't cut your work. And then stretch it out back to its normal shape. Alright, and then we have this one that we started with at the very beginning. Alright, so get the yarn on this darning, weaving, tapestry needle. And because this yarn is the color of the chain stitches that I made down there, I'm going to weave this in down low. I'm not going to go through the base, through the middle of the stitches like I normally would, because that first row of double crochets is kind of navy blue. It's a different color. So I'm going to keep this color down low. And then going back in the other direction, just try to go slightly different places, down low. And obviously, it's going to depend on your yarn. That probably will not even be a factor you know, with yours. It depends on how your yarn started. Sorry, let me get this back on here. Okay. Alright, now pull through. Alright. And then you can cut this down as well. Alright. Get everything out of the way. You straighten this out and zoom out. Take a picture. It's always hard for me to get everything, you know, a good big shot of my scarves. But yeah, this is essentially it. So I will leave a picture of this at the end of this video. But that's going to be it for today's video. So this is the Chevron Stitch. As I said, this is a medium length scarf. So if you want something longer, then you can use another skein, or maybe you can use the 5mm. It also depends on how wide you make it. I've decided to do a multiple of 10 times 2, which is 20, plus the 1, and then plus the 3 for the foundation chain. So that's why mine took more, it required more yarn. So yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, but you know I will see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting!